PVC fence put up, but the black curtain is horrid. And last summer, rumor had it, the pool was being rented out to other communities, and there was children in and out of the pool that did not live there all summer. But, you know, a fence would be great, a nice white fence or whatever color you wish, but the mesh is very sloppy looking. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have your hand up, sir, in the back? Or is he just holding on to the door? Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this?
Mr. Abrams, I actually want to direct this to you because I think there might have been a misunderstanding. It's not that we're forcing any type of litigation upon you. It's we have ongoing litigation, and whatever happens here will impact that litigation.
No, you said you would have litigation against the 5-member board.
Well, as said, the 5-member...
And I take that personally.
Well, it's not personally against you, but that's pretty much, we have litigation going, and that
Well,
it
we're
will,
all aware of
it
it.
will pretty much...
Sir, both of you. We're here to discuss the pool curtain.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any more questions for the applicant? Any more information you need? We can close the public hearing without waiting for the HOA.
Let's carry it over
We
till
have
we get the HOA.
Lawyer says we carry it over to the HOA.
Keep it open. Okay. Let's see what it says.
All right, motion, we keep the public hearing open until next month till we receive the HOA,
I'll make a
Rules
motion for
and-
that, August 14th.
right. Second? I think I made it. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so this public hearing will be carried over until August 14th. We're looking for the HOA rules and regulations, I guess, as far as what you need to enforce with the homeowners. Yes. And
It's the CCR.
the bylaws, right. Okay. Do you understand what we need to get?
I do. Does the violation continue to remain as this?
Yes, it is. While it's under appeal, it's allowed to remain. Yes.
Can we ask them to provide these? At least get me an address if we're going to try and get these. We're going to charge them a fee to get them.
No, we would really like an address where we can get these rules and regulations. But you're going to go through, you want to handle this one?
So, I'm sorry, I missed your name. Is it Carmine? Yeah. You're the president of the applicable HOA? Do you have access to the current rules and regulations and bylaws of the HOA? Would you be willing to provide them to this board free of charge? All right, we would ask you to do that and give us the address also, please, for the managing agency for the HOA. If you'd be kind enough to do that, it would be appreciated by the board. All right. You can
Terrific.
Drop
We love
them
it.
off at the building department?
Yes, you can drop it right off in the building department. Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so we're holding the public hearing open until next month?
We got to vote.
Yeah, right, that's what,
We got a
okay.
motion in a second.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So this public hearing will be held open until next month. All right? Thank you. All right, the next public, it's a short one. The next public hearing is for Colonial Cottages, public hearing for an area variance to permit the installation of an 8-foot-high solid steel corrugated fence around an existing swimming pool. Whereas pursuant to Section 146-5A, a maximum height of 6 foot is permitted. Said property is located in the R2A zoning district at 57 Owens Drive in Highland Mills, and is known on the Village of Woodbury tax maps as Section 204, Block 1, Lot 8.1. The applicant is present. So these are, I'll wait till Mr. Schumer comes to the podium.
Thank you.
So these are cottages that are rented out during the summer months? I know during the winter, no one's there.
9 weeks to be exact.
Okay.
Labor Day, they're gone.
So, yeah, I know, I drive by there quite frequently. Do we need proof that this is commercial?
I believe that you do. Mr. Schwimmer, it's come to
It
the
is.
attention of this board, that section 146-4 of the zoning, of the village code recites that the provisions with respect to that chapter, and it's the fence chapter, shall not be applicable to commercial property. That being the case, my understanding is that the board has adhered to that prohibition in the past, and if you can produce evidence in the way of receipts or rentals or income stream showing that this property is in fact a commercial property, it may be that you do not need a variance from this board. Do you think you can produce that kind of evidence?
Yes, indeed.
What do you think the form would be that you would present?
Checks made payable to the, I think they have a name.
Colonial
I think
Colonial
Colonial
Cottages.
slash Landview Estates, meaning to say the new.
Landview Estates.
Yeah, let's get the answer.
So the payment you'll see was made out to Landview Estates.
And Landview Estates is related to Colonial Cottages,
Yes,
how?
The old, for insurance purposes, we kept the name with the Orange County Health Department, whatever, we kept the name because they know it as Colonial Cottages. But when it was bought off, it was renamed in a friendlier way, Landview, by the last name of one of the owners, Landau.
Does the Orange County Health Department regulate the use of this pool?
I'm not sure, but the water, they do,
The water in the pool?
yes. I'm not sure about the pool, but I know they're coming around.
Well, that's same thing, you know.
Yeah, so it's commercial because they have jurisdiction over
Do you
the,
have that permit, or can you make
Sure,
a
I do.
copy of it and provide that to the board as well?
I do have that.
Members of the board, do you require any kind of income expense statement or a tax return for this entity to show that they're filing a business return or reporting the income as business income?
No, because the property
don't
is,
think so.
no, I don't think so.
I mean, that place has been renting them out for 50 years.
60,
It's,
maybe.
60.
Zoning and the tax code shows that it's a
all commercial.
417 and it's designated commercial by the state.
So the board, by the board members' personal knowledge, you know that it has been operated as a commercial enterprise?
For quite
If
a
you're
long time.
comfortable in that decision and that knowledge, you could this evening render a decision on this application and exempting it because of 146-4.
I think so.
And, yeah,
I think so.
everyone in agreement with that?
I got one question. As there seems to be, at least I believe your door opens the wrong way. It's supposed to open out and it opens in. Everything's supposed to open out when people are trying to get out.
That is correct.
Your gentleman let me in, let me take a peek at that.
Did you note something like this? I'll definitely take a look at it.
And some of the issues, Gary still has a chance to go in there and talk to these folks and maybe get any issues straightened out, yes?
So those would be building code issues that are the jurisdiction of Gary, not this board. But certainly, you know, with that kind of knowledge, you've shared it with the applicant, which is important, but it wouldn't be part of your determination. It would be part of Gary's.
Thank you.
You'd be okay with going
Yeah.
to Gary and straightening out any problems that he
Yes.
would see, whatever it takes?
Yes, definitely. Happens to be, Gary did forward me here. I'm a good friend of his for 20-something years. And he did tell me, like, instead of him looking the other direction for the last few years, saying, like, go for a variance, get it resolved. But it's interesting that he didn't know that we are a commercial, and he still...
Your permit even says commercial on it.
So it's interesting how he even cited us with a violation,
He's a busy
not knowing...
guy.
I don't think even I ever thought of it as a commercial property, but it is.
Well, not until we looked at the, right, there's the,
Thank you.
Yeah.
so,
So, Madam Chairman, a motion might be in order that the board determines that the denial issued by the building inspector dated July 8th, 2019 was issued in error and is vacated by the board.
Thank you.
okay.
I'll
so-
make that motion.
And I'll second it. Oh, discussion? Sure.
The,
Was issued an error in the building inspector, correct?
was issued an
Right.
error by the building inspector, and the board vacates the denial letter.
You got that, Joe? Do we have a second on that? Oh, I seconded it. I did. It's not even midnight.
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That fence
So
has been
that's
there for
taken.
30 years.
I know. All right, next on the agenda.
Listen, before we start with,
Well, we didn't get a building inspector's report, right? So we're going to deliberate on closed public hearings, of which there's only one.
yeah, but can we take 5 before?
Sure,
Because it's like really getting hot in here.
it is. But it's not going to get cooler in 5 minutes, but just so you know. But you want to take a 5-minute break? Bathroom break, drink break, water, drink. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
All days for the AC to be broke.
West Coast people.
Yes, we're going to revisit the 5 questions, right? Yes. No. Well, okay, we are back, I think. We have one closed public hearing that was closed last month, and we tabled that decision until this month. So here we are. This is the Pulver Rushmore Estate application. This is for a variance for use of Quaker Road and Evans Drive to get to Route 32 because the code says that the winery must have access to Route 32. So last month we went over the 5 questions. There was some confusion, at least on my part. I don't know if it was on anyone else's part. There was some confusion as to what exactly we needed to be considering. And after the meeting, well, I guess near the end of the meeting and after the meeting, I went home and I said, I think I've been looking at this all wrong. And so what I'd like to do is revisit the 5 questions again, revisit them. That's redundant. And stop. We'll make a decision based on whatever we decide on these 5 questions this evening. Okay, Mr. Myro has sent in some more legalese. Has everyone had a chance to look at that? I don't know that we need to read it or anything because we're here to deliberate. You want to do the 5 questions and then we'll discuss each thing, like if there's something that comes up, we can discuss it as we go? For the 5, right. You want to do that? Okay. I'm going to use Mr. Pulver's application for the 5 questions. I don't know if they're in the same order that we normally do, but do you have those 5 questions in order? Yes? No, just the 5 questions. He has the 5
questions that were answered from the meeting.
Right, we're gonna revisit those 5 questions.
Do you want to go by what was said and what?
No, what we want to do is just, we kind of know what we said. We want,
So my suggestion would be to use the minutes.
okay, you want to do that? Yeah. Okay. Do you have a copy? Thank you.
Yeah, that was the question.
Right.
And then what he answered and then what you guys said.
Okay, gotcha.
That makes it clear.
All right.
It's part of the record already.
Yes. Good, then you don't need to redo that. Okay, so last month, the first question was, will the granting of this variance produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or create a detriment to nearby properties? The applicant said that the subject parcel will be developed as a farm winery, which is permitted in the R3A zoning district. He said the proposed driveway for the farm winery is an existing driveway, Ice House Road, in the 450 feet between New York State Route 32 and Ice House Road. There's one shared driveway for 2 residences entering onto Quaker Road, which is a village road. The variance will not result in any physical change in the neighborhood, will have no adverse or detrimental effect on nearby properties. Now, last month we said that we disagreed with them because we felt it would be a detriment. I know that I was looking at Ice House Road in totality, when in fact I was advised that we should be looking merely at Ice House Road and the distance from the end of Ice House Road on Quaker Road to 32, which is 450 feet, and Evans, correct. So I believe that, I mean, we don't have a vote here on who said what, but I believe last time I said, yes, it would be, well, we all said yes. Yes, we all said yes, it would be a detriment. Well, I'm disagreeing right now. I mean, I'm agreeing with the applicant now that it will not be a detriment, the 450 feet. I was looking at the whole road. We're only looking basically at Quaker Road and Evans Drive. Okay.
Granting the variance does change the adverse, especially the people that live on Ice House Road,
See,
as well as some of the neighbors.
well, here's the thing. If Ice House Road was had direct access to Route 32, he wouldn't be here. The question is now, if they get onto Quaker Road and get into Ice House Road, will it be any different? Will it be an adverse effect?
Yeah, but the problem is he is here.
Right,
I mean, if it went out to 32, then he wouldn't be here.
right. But the question is, would it be an adverse effect, an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, or a detriment to nearby properties? No, you're certainly, Kevin, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm just, I'm not trying to tell you.
You know me.
I do. I'm not trying to tell you what to say. I'm just trying to clarify my point of view.
But I think by us granting
Well, we didn't grant anything yet.
No,
We're
but-
just looking at question 1.
the variance will not result in any physical change in the neighborhood, but it will.
That's not the question.
Yes, it is.
It says, will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties.
But I
The
think-
4th question is the physical.
But I think you're gonna have you got 10 cars going up and down Ice House a day with all the neighbors, and then you're gonna have 100 cars going up and down. Is that gonna be a change in the effect on the property?
It's
I
certain.
think you have to look at it in the context of what Karen's saying, is that the variance is because Mr. Fuller owns Ice House Road, that the variance is from the end of Ice House Road to Route 32. That's
says-
the extent of the variance.
It says neighborhood.
But the yes, but the...
That's the part of the
grant
neighborhood we're
variance.
talking about.
Change the character of the
Okay.
neighborhood.
If you feel it will, you're...
That's how I'm,
Okay.
that's.
Anybody
I-
else have anything to say on that?
Kind of the same thing. If you go by the traffic consultants, it's like the roads can handle it. However, it does double the existing traffic in an impact, I think is what Kevin was driving at. So it does affect the houses that are there on Quaker Road, or to a certain extent, the people coming out of Scaglione or further down going towards Evans, I think is what Kevin was trying to say before.
I mean, I just think it does the whole area.
So, Joe, you're saying you agree with Kevin, pretty much?
I'm saying that. with
That there
this
is a-
particular one, I disagree with the applicant, yes.
Okay.
I do feel that again, the consultants say the roads can handle it, but the question is, does it have an effect on the community? Which is not exactly the same thing as that the roads can handle it.
Oh, true.
So I disagree, yes.
Gary, what do you think?
I'm sticking with my original perspective, which is the language that's written here at the bottom. I disagree with the applicant, but I feel it would be a detriment. I agree with that statement, which is how I voted last.
Okay, right, okay. So we're split. We have 3 disagreeing, 2 agreeing.
Sounds like it.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens number 2.
I didn't hear what you just said, I apologize.
There are 3 of us who disagree with the applicant and 2 of us who agree with the applicant. Whereas before it was 4 of us disagreed. Number 2, the benefits sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The applicant said there is no other method by which the applicant developed the parcel as a farm winery without the granting of the requested variance. What do I do? And what we said last month,
Can I make a comment? I should have said something when we approved these minutes. The language in the first sentence of number 2 is not what our attorney said. That's not what he said last month.
But
What he said was, can the benefit you seek be achieved by some other feasible method other than this variance? Not variance, this variance. That's the guidance he gives.
and no, it can't be achieved any
No,
other
but
way.
my point, it's a technical point. The point is not any variance. Our attorney said this variance. He was very clear on that. So I should have said something that I don't believe this is accurate in context of what
we decided, you mean?
what Rob Dickover said last month.
There is no other
This
way.
variance. He's talking about.
I mean, I think you guys are putting it
The word,
that they
the
could
word
go.
this, I specifically asked you, are you, at the time, I said,
Yes,
are
I
you
do
saying
recall
any
that,
variance
yeah.
or this particular request, this specific request with these details, and
Can it
Rob,
be
you
achieved
said
by some
this
other
variance.
feasible
You were
method
very
other
clear
than
about
this
that.
variance?
Well, first of all, I don't know that this is my language in the minutes, so
Yeah, that's what he's saying,
I'm not
yeah.
saying it is.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
saying
guess
that-
I'd have to ask you to ask me the question again and see if I can make it clearer for you, or hopefully give you the same answer I gave you before.
Well, we were trying to understand the meaning of the question. And so I asked you, Rob, when the state statutes use this language, are they talking about any variance or the particular specific variance that the applicant is requesting? And so that's the question. Any variance or this variance?
The question, the factor that you're considering is whether or not the relief being requested by the applicant, the relief being requested, can be achieved by some other feasible method.
And I don't think it can.
That's the question.
Let's
Other than
figure out the
this
question first.
This request, this specific request for variance that he made.
Other than this
Not
request.
another variance that he didn't request.
Some other feasible method other than what's being requested.
Okay.
Did I
Okay,
answer it the same way?
yes, yes, you did. And last month, we disagreed. We said there is a more viable method by using different access road.
But there isn't another method. The other variance using up in Brigadoon is even a longer distance to 32.
Isn't that what they just said, this variance, what they're asking for right here, not anything else, yes?
Right, but they disagreed with this, and they.
Right, no, I'm just saying what we said last
There is a more valuable
month.
method, but there isn't a more valuable method.
So the language that can be found in some places says, the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. The answer in that context is no. Regardless of any
Because-
other method, a variance is required. And in specifics, it's this variance,
Right.
access to 32. Is that reasonable?
I believe that's a fair statement. yeah.
So he was right. Number two, he was actually right on that one.
So you would agree with them on that one?
I agree with the
them.
Yeah.
Okay. We all
Is that
agree on
true
number 2.
across the board? Everybody agrees with the applicant? Just check.
Okay, number 3. The requested area variance is not substantial. The applicant says the requested variance is not substantial, especially when considered the totality of the circumstances. The 450 feet to New York State Route 32 is a short distance. Quaker Road is a municipally maintained road. Last month, we disagreed.
No.
Well, we did split, yes, you're right, but
I'll
you were the
add-
dissenting vote, I
I'll
believe.
add to my dissent in stating that with the improvements to the Quaker 32 intersection that were submitted in the last plan, and I believe suggestion, which we would probably want to make into a condition of approval, would be that all signage direct all traffic to that intersection as opposed to Evans.
Right.
That I further think that this is not substantial.
But it is substantial.
No, no, if you're looking at all of Ice House Road, which is the way I looked at it last time, it was substantial.
It's
But now it's only that little distance from the end of Ice House
If you're-
Road to
If
32.
you're taking that sentence in the law, and you're looking at it, and that's what I'm looking at, we would have to totally remove that law in order to
He's
do
looking
that.
for relief for 400 feet.
That law, but it's 100%.
It's a yes or
Well,
no, I see your point.
I see what you're saying.
It's 100%.
but- Well, then, basically, any variance we give is 100%.
Not necessarily.
In this context, it would be, but I'm okay with that.
So you still disagree with the applicant, correct?
Yeah, I
Okay,
disagree with the applicant.
okay. And Craig agrees. I agree with the applicant also. What do you think, Gary?
Disagree.
You disagree? Joe, what do you think?
Glad you-
No pressure, it's only a split vote right now.
Last time I disagreed with this, I said the variance was substantial. Going by the 100%. However, what Craig said is an interesting point in that if you have the improved ability to
Straighten out Quaker Road, yeah,
enter
yeah.
and exit
From
from a
it.
better thing off of Route 32, that it cuts down a lot on the substantiality of it. By moving the signage up to,
So you,
just to the end of Quaker Road.
so you think that with certain conditions, it could be less substantial?
And I had mentioned my recommendation would be that if this were to pass, that something needs to be done with Evans, that it no longer is a two-way street. I'd rather-
Right, but I don't think we can do that, can we?
Recommendation.
Oh, recommendation, right, right. Gotcha, gotcha.
Planning board, and they have a lot more
Okay.
than we do on that particular stuff, but I don't like the angle of that intersection. I think it's like an accident.
Yeah,
waiting to
I know.
happen.
So you're saying that with conditions, you would agree that
Yes.
it's, okay. Got that, Jess? Okay. Number 4, the proposed variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district, and the applicant said the proposed variance will have no such adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Well, the secret form said there would be no environmental conditions, so we couldn't very well say now it will be. And I think we all agreed last month that it would have no adverse physical effects. Anybody have anything different to say this month?
You effectively can't countermand what you do with secret.
No, 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 I know that, but I'm just talking about the physical aspect of it.
I agree with you.
Gary?
Agree.
Kevin?
Agree.
And I also agree, so that's a unanimous agree. And the last one, the hardship has not been self-created, and the applicant said, although the proposed variance was self-created, such factor may not be solely relied on as a basis for denying the requested variances. And we all agreed that it was self-created, but that's not a deciding factor most times. Okay? So, now what we need to do is decide what we're going to do. So, right, and then it would be voted accordingly, and then it would be either a denial or an approval, correct? We'd make the motion based on the findings, that we just, that the board that we just, decision that's consistent with the findings that we just made. Would we make that in a positive note, that motion, and then people would say either yes or no?
Well, right now, if I have made my proper notes, the first factor, the board is 2 versus 3.
Right.
On the second factor, 5 is 0. On the third factor, 3-2. On the fourth factor, 5-0. And on the fifth factor, 5-0 or 0-5. It's self-created. So I don't know which way to prepare the decision. I can prepare it in the alternative.
Well,
a decision granting the relief based on the findings of the board, or a decision denying the relief based upon the findings of the board. So
do we,
I can't tell by your
do we
findings
poll,
today.
do I poll the board to do that, or do we just make that motion and then next
I
month?
think somebody has to stand up and make a motion one way or the other. Somebody has to either second it or not,
And then we vote accordingly,
Vote on that motion,
and then you would make your,
So the motion would be a directive to have counsel to the board prepare a decision consistent with the findings of this evening, granting the relief requested.
and then we would vote, that would be the
Granting the
The
relief
relief.
requested would be the first motion. If it passes, that would be the decision written. If it fails to pass, then the alternative motion would be a directive to prepare a decision consistent, again, with the board's findings this evening, denying the requested relief.
So that is different than what we've been doing.
I don't know, I haven't been here long enough to know what you've been doing.
Well, what we've been doing is preparing the draft decision, and we kind of knew where we stood. When we do this, we're not,
We know where we stand.
well, I know where I stand.
Take the plunge. I'd like to make a motion that we ask council to prepare a decision approving the relief requested by the applicant, congruent with the findings that we just discussed in the 5 factors.
I'll second it. Now, we don't. Do we have any discussion?
No, you should.
No, there is discussion, it's protocol.
Just asking if anybody has.
Motion and a second, you still have discussion?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the steps, those are the steps. I have nothing to say.
Me either.
All right. So,
Just on that motion, if that were to be passed, I would suggest that it contain the conditions that the applicant has put forth to the board in the way of various mitigations of impacts that were identified by the public, some of which included, and I don't have an exhaustive list this evening, but they included such things as improving the condition of Ice House Road, restricting access to that road by way of buses and tractor trailers, that signage would be installed at the various intersections, directing traffic to in the way in which traffic was to be directed onto and off of that property, that the Route 32 Quaker Road intersection would be reconfigured in substantial compliance with the drawings recently delivered to the board, subject, of course, to the village DPW's review and approval. Also, this application would have no effect until the village zoning planning board had granted site plan relief and, of course, made environmental determinations consistent with approving the use of the premises as a winery. There may have been some other conditions with respect to the things that the applicant was willing to do, but I don't recall what they were.
we'll have to look back in the notes, probably.
Yeah, I'd have to
Just
refer back
at
to
the
the notes
notes.
in the minutes.
Would that include the paving of Ice House Road again?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the road improvements were part of it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you state a recommendation about making Evans one-way recommendation?
That would be a recommendation that this board would make to the village board to
Yes.
consider signing that.
Yeah, village board and planning board.
Yeah, it's a village board decision. They refer it to the planning board for comment as a proposed local law. So that would be also part of a decision that I would write approving the relief that's been requested.
It wouldn't be a condition, it would be an
Yeah, just
additional
a-
action.
Correct. Would not be a condition.
So all in favor of this, any more discussion? Okay, so we're going to do a roll call for this motion, which is to approve the relief,
No, it's to have a
right,
decision and then we...
to approve the relief. Yes.
I vote aye.
Gary?
I'm going to vote nay.
Craig?
Aye.
And I vote aye. So right now, it's
That-
3 to
that
2.
motion passes 3 to 2.
It passes 3 to 2. Okay, we'll see what happens next
We'll
month.
prepare a decision consistent with the board's instruction.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for staying in this heat. Sleep well, Mr. Pulver.